Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me? Hello,
Yes, I can hear you.
can hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, you are both welcome to Bincom Dev Center PMO Meetup. Thank you so much for joining us. So today we have a guest speaker, Aminat Mangwe. So I will be giving us a short history of her profile for us to know who she is, and she'll be having a good presentation with us here. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining. All right, confirm you can hear me. All
I
right.
can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So Aminat Benwe, she is an head of finance at Sognias Technology Limited and is a seasoned financial professional with over 12 years of experience and across Nigeria's media and ventures backend fintech sectors, including Onia Life Group, Clasha, is it Clasha? Yeah, Clasha and Wallet Africa. A pioneer in applying no-code solution and financial operation in Africa. She raised millions of fundings and led a strategic partnership with Visa and major banks, and built a robust financial system that transformed chaotic operations into compliance-ready audit structure. A full-trade accountant who recently passed CFA Level 2. Aminat strong technical expertise with innovative technology driving problem solution, building dashboards, controls, and tools that help startups scale efficiently and sustainably. She sorry. She is a passionate about using technology and practical innovation to make financial simpler, smarter, and more accessibility growing businesses. So this is little I can give you about her, but she'll be introducing herself to us before starting her presentation. So Madam Aminat, good afternoon. Welcome to Bincom Dev Center PMO Meetup. So we would like to know more about you. I'm sorry if I'm missing something or I'm getting something wrong. I'm sorry for that. So we'd like to know about you. Thank you so much for joining us. Every one of us here, you are highly welcome to Bincom Dev Center PMO Meetup. Thank you so much. Over to you, Madam Aminat. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam, for the brief introduction. Thanks, everyone, for having me. There's not much about me. Basically, you've covered everything. So I'm currently the head of finance at Suppliers Technology. As suppliers, what we do is we try to finance B2B businesses, like financing their businesses and trying to grow their business with them. So I've been in finance for 12 years plus now. I transitioned from media and entertainment to startup. I've been in fintech startup for over 6 years now, and it has been an interesting journey. So I think, can I just kick in and start my presentation with little knowledge I have to share, basically? Is that
Yes,
fine?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
It's to go.
Just give me a minute to try to share my screen.
All right.
So please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, ma, I can see your screen from my end. I don't know others. Hope you can all see her screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
All right.
that's good.
Are you seeing my presentation? I want to be sure
Yes.
that's what I'm sharing. All right, thanks. Thanks for confirming. Let me do this. Let me just. Okay. All right. So, I was given learn and build your ideas without having to sit down to write code like an engineer, and it's as I mentioned earlier, having to start my career with media and entertainment, start my career whereby you have to be manually raising invoice and manually putting that invoice on system and all that. It gets to a stage that you think that this is a lot of work, a lot of tedious work, and something has to be done, which is when you come to think about automation has to come in. And then when I started my career, there is a lot of things that is pretty much manual, like everything is literally manual. Then we have to think about what can we do to simplify this process, to simplify how people record transaction, how you recognize transactions and all that, and make it more simpler, even while you're working with Excel and other financial tools, basically. So my finance journey, basically, as I was saying, it has been very from traditional to modern, basically. So I've been privileged to work in an environment whereby is typically traditional, typically manual, from having to raise voucher to having to get it approved from all the bureaucracy, then having to bring that voucher to input it on the system and all that. So while doing that, something that you could now will take us like 5-10 minutes, then it takes hours to get it done. So, and moving from those experiences, while I was trying to think about how to simplify the process as I'm working as a finance person, I had to try to research on tools that can help, and try to research on tools that, even if it's going to help, is something that you can streamline to the industry that you are, streamline that is going to work with what you're currently doing and all that. So from transitioning from media to startup, it was a bit, what's it called? It was a bit chaos for me, because generally businesses in Nigeria, finance unit is like an afterthought. So every business owner will have started their business. They focus more on the product, focus more on focus more on the customer aspects. What I want to sell, how am I going to market these products? They don't focus on the finance. It's always an afterthought. So it's after all these transactions have been happening, maybe a business could have established for like 2-3 years before even thinking of bringing in a finance person. And you are now coming in and there's a lot of backlog to come, and a lot of things, operational lags that you need to come and fix, because as a finance person, a business that starts like 2-3 years, you can't just come up midway and just start doing things. As in, I just start like, okay, I'll start recognizing transaction as of today. It's not possible. You have to start recognizing every finance activity from the inception of the business. So with this, and there's all these, especially startup, like there's all these improper way of not keeping record. There is like, what is it called? CEO or co-founder paying for expenses from their personal accounts. All these, you have to find a way to like how you'll be able to like put it together to make sense of it, and how to be able to like make sure you now have a system in place where this type of all those, you have to streamline them being able to be compliant at the end of the day. So the add-on lessons during my movements, or during this, my experience was like, automation is key. Like automation is essential. You have to find a way to streamline the financial process to reduce error, because you need to first be to understand the business that you're joining, like understand the business model. When you understand the business model, you'll be able to define what the revenue is, what's the cost related activities of this business, what's their major overhead and all that. So from there, you'll be able to establish what type of tool that you need to come up with for the organization. tool you can actually like come up with. There are sometimes that you have to like deal with like a very small business where they don't have much money to invest in tools that it can in tools, but you can actually like there is a lot of things that you can do with Excel and Google Sheets that can you can come up with like automation that you can build a quick dashboard and all that. So after you think about the automation part, you think about when you want to automate things, you ought to think about the speed also. Anything that you're automating has to come up with speed, like the speed of deliveries and all that. Eventually, at the end of the day, compliance is key, because as a finance person, you're trying to ensure that every organization has like grow revenue-wise and also be able to reduce their costs. And you don't want a situation whereby you have surprises in liability, or because if you are not complying with, for instance, tax people, you are not compliant with tax, at the end of the day, they will bring a liability for the company. So there are some things that you need to put in place that can track all those compliance also, whereby you ensure that the company is compliant to the up-to-date and all that. Moving to the next slide. So the use what was it called? There are some like transforming finance with no tools basically is like comes from the idea about you having to join, based on my experience, having to join a startup whereby there's literally what they just have in their database is, oh, like our customers' transactions we could like record it. And when they are even picking the transaction, there's some information that they ought to be storing that they are not storing, maybe because they think it's not relevant. And most of this fintech, they are building something that is relating to money, is relating to transaction activities. And when they are building it, they are not bringing in a finance professional to like guide them on how to build the products. Most of them are engineers. They went to school, they know how to write code, and they're just thinking about, I'm writing this code to provide this solution. I want consumer to be able to have access to loan. I want consumer to be able to have access to do bank transaction easily, but they are not thinking about how the how the back end is going to work, that for every movement of fund, there has to be a proper record. And so there are some gaps there. But the CEO could come and say that, I just want to see this. I just want to see this revenue dashboard. I just want to see a base much what's it called, cost acquisition. How much are we using to acquire our customers? What is our customer, what's it called? Our customers' lifetime value and all that. So sometimes, and when you're talking to these engineers, they're always very busy to deal with you because you're an internal person. They're focusing more on, if I'm too fast, you can actually draw me back. I don't know whether I'm too fast. Can someone just...
No, it is okay.
All right, thank you. So pretty much is like engineering telling you, that's literally experience in startup. They don't really much focus on the internal app usage. They focus more on the customers as like customers aspects, basically. So when they are building their product, they're focusing on what's the other parts, the customers that will be using the products, what would they be saying? How can we satisfy our customer and all that? And they don't really put much focus on the operational parts, like the people that is going to be accounting for all the activity that the business is doing. So you have to find a way to come up with, and you want to have deliverables. You have deliverables basically, and you want to come up with things like what information readily available for the management team, information that you don't want them to come to you and say, oh, I don't have it. It's because you are in the finance department, you are expected to have some certain information at a go, like the what's it called? The management need month-on-month revenue. They need what the unit economy is of the products and all that. So you need to come up with to build something. So when I first joined, I had to start up with, okay, how can I get this thing done? How can I simplify something that is like really like yours? Because there was a lot of backlog of unreconciled data, and we have to ensure that money is not missing, because you have all these partners, all these payments gateway partners. Payment gateway partners are like Flutterwave, Paystack, and all that you integrated with for them to help you with your customer's transaction. So they are doing this collection and they are setting it T+1. You need to be able to reconcile these transactions and also ensure that the money is being settled as at when it's due. So for you to come up with all these things, you need to come up with a product, or like you need to have a tool that you use. So basically, there are a lot of data analytical tools out there that can simplify the process. I start my reconciliation using Excel. I won't lie, initially it was a bit tedious, but it's just getting the right formula right and being able to have access to the other partners' data. So you are able to have access to the other partners' data. And once you take your time to build something that works for you on Excel that you can translate to like a quick dashboard on Excel, or using a what's it called, one of the data analytical tools I like is Metabase. You can quickly have, like, once you plug in the data into this Metabase, you can quickly do a quick dashboard, a quick reconciliation of both parties' data, and you can quickly pinpoint where error is and all that. So it's now ensuring that how you can automate that. So you can database takes it a step further, whereby a Metabase rather takes it a step further, whereby you can set something like a reminder to be sending you that report on a daily basis and all that. And I build a lot of my dashboard on on Excel, and it's just repeating the same dashboard. Once you are good with Excel, currently I'm more focused on Google Sheets. Google Sheets is more how will I put it? It's more of, because it's like a live data thing. You can, like, everybody can have access it at a time, and it has some features that Excel you have to like take a while for you to get to where Excel is. So it's simple. And it also guides you when you're like trying to do something next, and to simplify, like give you how to simplify formulas, and so that those formulas you can just automate them, and you are just drawing down and everything is just populating as it go. And so dashboard, you just have those simple dashboard that shows month-on-month transaction, shows margin, and you try as much as possible. Sometimes CEO will ask for like, oh, I just want to see like your revenue. I just want to be able to track the revenue month on month. But you know that when you're building that, you just have to be proactive enough to think a step or 3 step, sometimes 5 step ahead, because as you're presenting the month on month, you may come back and say, you can just add the costs that are related to this revenue. So you can just do, instead of me just stopping at that revenue, let me just take a step further and do the costs that are related to the revenue. Let me do the margin. Let me do the unit economics. Let me do the products per the revenue per product, like that. So you just start building on it, and at the end of the day, you come up with a dashboard whereby you can now sit with the engineering guys to say that they can bring this and build it into the internal app, because that's what literally happened at the end of the day. So you will have something, because if you decide to wait for them, they won't have your time. So you have to come up with something so that it guides them when they now have to now convert it to like internal app for you. Then you can now like plug in into the database at the end of the day. But you still have to start, it still has to come from you as a person, as a finance person. You still have to, you have the onus on you to like start building from scratch, like start showing, because you need to find a way to be efficient. You need to find a way to deliver your your results on time. You need to find a way to get, because there's a difference between making information available and making information as like that information that is available is useful. And it's also, when I say useful, means that information gets to the right person at the right time. So you're thinking about management report should be ready like every 5th of the month, or latest by the 7th of the month. So you need to get it ready. So you're coming into an organization, whether they have like a 6 years backlog that you have to work on. So you need to find a way to, okay, let me time myself on when will I be able to complete this. After I complete this, with the experience I've had with understanding the business model, how soon will I be able to ensure that my team are able to meet up with deadline? With all this volume of transaction, what can I put in place to ensure that they are working efficiently? And so there are other tools out there that you can literally plug in, apart from maybe like the normal standard accounting accounting software. There are all these analytical tools that can, especially when you're working in an environment where data is a lot, like startup, there's a lot of volume of transaction. And it's not possible for you to be saying that lot of volume of transaction, you want to move everything into the accounting software. It's literally waste of everybody's time. So you need to find a way to simplify that data from the data source before transitioning it into the accounting software. So while you are doing that, that's when you need to come up with the tools that can make it work efficiently. There are a lot of, apart from Metabase, there are a lot of tools out there that startup are actually, some other startup are actually building to streamline what's it called, a finance operation and the company's operations as they go. So it's like you finding a way to collaborate with other team members and ensuring, because sometimes when you join an organization as their finance, trying to put in the finance operation process and all that, they see a lot of things that you're bringing up as a blocker. They use that word a lot in startup, like everything is a blocker. So, and they wanted to move fast. We want to move fast. We need to move fast. So you need to find a way to define how you'll be able to manage the team, the other team member, how you'll be able to convince them on certain processes that has to be in place, certain things that you have to put in place to ensure that the finance operation is moving smoothly and all that. So I think I'm almost done. This should be like my last or second to the last slide. So like, this is like basically like a playbook that you can basically just think about. Like, you don't want to waste time on anything. You want to ensure that all your time is managed efficiently, effectively, and all that. So while you're thinking, so you first want to identify, out of all this process, when I've learned what this business is doing, the business processes, the business model, what they're doing and all that. So you need to first identify out of what maybe is the flow of their transaction, or is the flow of how the system is being calculating their revenue or their cost line or their overhead expenses. You need to identify which one is which one wastes a lot of time, like in the process, and find a way to, from there, build a solution that is still that trigger. So when I say build a solution, you are looking for a tool that can actually like literally reduce the process, because sometimes when they're building these products, when the engineers are building this product, they are not thinking about how the operational people is going to like, how this is going to affect the operational people. What the most startups focus more on the consumer end. They don't really focus on the operational end. So it's your responsibility to let the product person understand that you need to understand the transaction flow. And when the transaction is flowing, there are key metrics that has to be stored in the database. So those, once you ensure that those metrics are stored and all that, it's just for you to be able to like find a way to get a tools that you can like plug in. So you just like a plug and pay and play thing to plug into like spool this data to get it analyzed and have what's the information that you need to be able to like do your own work effectively. So while you're looking at this, you are launching a measure, you are also like taking consideration of the cost effective of the tools that you're bringing on board, because at the end of the day, you don't want any cost that is going to like eat into the operational expenses of the company. So depends on the company that you're joining, depends on the level of the startup you're joining, depends on the volume of the transaction they're doing. So if you're joining a small startup that is like very, very small. So like maybe their operational expenses is still very minimal, or their customer transaction is very small. So you are starting with, with this volume of transaction, I think Google Sheets can still like, it's just for me to automate some things on Google Sheets, and Google Sheets can still work better. But if you're getting towards having like where the data is voluminous and they build a, what is it called, their database is really, they've built it to a very detailed thing, then you're looking for a tool that can analyze data for that you can just plug in and just pull the data from the back end, and you can build a dashboard from it. Metabase can do that effectively, build dashboards. You can tell we want to see month-on-month transaction, month-on-month revenue, all those things. You can come up with that. So then basically everything that you're building and everything, the more you do this, the more you have those experience, the more you learn about these tools and all that, it helps you build those skills as you move forward in your career. So it's just taking time to look at, to understand. So the first process is understanding the business. So business and the business model is very key in every decision you have to make about how to be able to survive in that company, how to be able to work effectively and efficiently in that company. So I think on this note, I will just like basically leave you guys with this. Finance professionals do not wait for tools. We build them. We don't really wait for, because by the time you say you're waiting for someone to get something for you, then you're just there sitting and thinking, oh, I have a lot of backlog to work with, especially reconciliation. Reconciliation can be can be very annoying sometimes. Sorry about my word. It's something that has been a real challenge in startup, like reconciliation. So it's now sitting down and waiting to say that, this reconciliation has to be there. You can have backlogs and money can be missing. So I've had the experience whereby when I joined, I had to reconcile like over 3 years settlements, and the good thing is we're able to recover some fund, but money lost during the way. It's something that we're still pretty much trying to like talking to other professional colleagues on best solution for it, because the challenge we are currently having in Nigeria about it is like almost all the startup, everybody is trying to hide the information of their customer. Like I'm trying to hide. So for you to plug into them, it's basically they're just opening their API for you to do the payments gateway. But if you are trying to say, I need to plug in to be able to have access directly to the transaction you guys are recording, not the one that you're sending to me via API, so that I'll be able to plug it to my system. That they've not been able to solve, so that we can be doing like a real-time reconciliation that they've not been able to solve. So you say I have to like go to their dashboard, pull out the data there, and now merge everything in whatever reconciliation tool that you are using. So that is still some gap that is still in the industry for now, but hopefully maybe like by next year, someone will have come up with a better solution there. So I think that's it for me. If anyone asks questions and all that, I hope I'm still audible.
Yes, you are still audible.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for the presentation. Wonderful presentation and enjoyable. We really appreciate.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
once again. Dear participant, is there anyone with question for Madam Aminat?
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
I have a question for her. Good afternoon.
All
My
right.
name is Odukoya Israel. And my question is, what are the 3 metrics that are stored on database? And also, is there any other tools apart from Microsoft Excel for data analysis, like Sprockets?
Sorry,
That's my
I think
question.
you said what are the words?
3 metrics that are stored on database. What are the 3 metrics that are stored on database?
On database. Database is like the company's database, or you're talking about the Metabase, what's it called? Data analysis that I was talking about?
Yes.
Oh, Metabase. So basically, Metabase is like a data analytical tool whereby you can integrate into your own database as an entity. So you have a database that stores maybe your customers' transactions, what's it called? Your operational activities. Then you can integrate into Metabase and just use this to build dashboard for you to see, to build different dashboard. Like you can decide what dashboard you want to be. If you want to, depend on the data you are storing as a company, basically. So you can, if you have a data that shows comprehensively your customer's transaction from maybe like the transaction amounts, the revenue you're making on that transaction, the cost that is related to that transaction, the VAT that you are remitting on that transaction, you could get Metabase to just get summarized, to pull this, to do a data, what's it called, to do a dashboard for you on, we want to be seeing month on month what the total transaction of a customer is, the total revenue that you make on that transaction. You can do it on a day-to-day actually also. So this same thing I'm saying you can do on Metabase, you can actually pull this same data from a database and pull it on Google Sheets and just use maybe like a pivot table or other formulas to be able like to summarize this, or you use what's it called, what's this other this name is off me now. So basically it's just for you to be able to, once you build it, when it takes a bit of time is your initial building of whatever dashboard you want to build, and from there you can try to be improving on it, and like that day by day gets more perfect until when it gets to where sometimes you spend 1 hour, 2 hours, get to where you just have to spend like 10-20 minutes on that same thing that you've been doing like for like 2-3 hours before. I don't know whether that answers your question.
That really answered it. Thank you so much.
I think you're welcome. You asked another question. I'm not sure whether I picked that.
Yeah, I said, is there any other analytical tool for data analysis apart from Microsoft Excel?
There's pretty much some out there, basically, and I knew of what was it called? Why am I pretty much forgetting this name now? The name is like maybe before the meeting, maybe before the class end, I will remember. There's one name that I wanted to, but I know that currently there are some startups that are coming up with some tools that is like finance related. There is one startup, I think Duplo. They come up with a tools that you can integrate, whereby you can pull out your operational expenses, pull out your revenue and all that. But for me, the reason why I don't really buy into it yet is because they have selected accounting software they can actually plug into, because it makes sense when you have a tool that once you do your analysis, you can just plug it into your accounting software and it's just pull everything there. Then you can just prepare your financial report. So it makes everybody's life easier at the end of the day. But I think we'll get there gradually. But the other ones are pretty much very expensive. Like you have to have all this ERP thing. They are very expensive. But so it's not something that is suitable for like small SME companies that are just coming up. So that's why the reliance, as we still rely more on what is it called, Microsoft Excel, as you said, and was Metabase. Majority of startups use Metabase currently because I think cost-wise is still reasonable. So I think that's why some Nigerian startups are start coming up with some data analytical tools, but it's still cost constrained because some of it they are still just building it. So it's still like even if you start using it, it may not fit into your own activities. That's the challenge. So the challenge is like how to get something that fits into the business model that you are actually doing currently. So that's some of the bit of the challenge that we're currently having. I hope that answered your question, Israel.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think someone else has their hands raised.
Yes.
Okay.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is, in a situation whereby you just joined a company and then they have like their own tool that they've been using already, right? But you as a finance person, you realize that this tool is not actually getting the work done. I know something that is going to do better than this. How do you kind of like try to like convince the stakeholders to maybe start using your own, or to try to think of any other tool that will work better? Because change is something that most companies like, they don't like adapting, they don't like changing. Once they are stick to that process, they just want to leave it at that. They don't want any other thing because they are so scared of learning new thing and all. And the second question is, when a company is trying to like I don't know whether I should use the word secretive with their data, how do you now as a finance person get them to, would I say, trust you enough to release those data so you'll be able to get do your job?
Yeah, you know what I'm laughing is like I've been in both situations, so that's why I'm laughing. It's something that you experience. So I'll start with the second one because it's something that you experience with a lot of one-man business. So I can imagine where you're coming from. So you have a situation whereby you join an organization where they have different, as in like they could have different accounts and their expenses is being done in these accounts. You don't even have access to that bank account and all that. So it's pretty more difficult on how you can get them to trust, because the challenge is not you. The problem, that's why I always tell the problem is not you. The problem is them having difficulty in trusting the people they employ to work for them. So, and the challenge is, if you don't trust someone you are employing to work for you, then there's going to be a problem. So sometimes you're thinking you're the problem, but you are not. The problem is from their hand. So, and for you as a professional is to let them understand. Your own responsibility is to let them understand why this is very important for you to have access to this information. Because without that information, you can't prepare a what's it called, a true and fair financials. Like, you have to prepare financial that is true and fair. And I've been in a situation whereby they are like, you are giving like incomplete data. The company has like maybe like 4 or 5 bank accounts, and you only have access to 3, and they are expecting you to prepare the financial statement. They even have backlog that, okay, I need this information, I need information about, you don't even know, they all the information to the extent that you don't even know the shareholding structure of the business. And as the finance person, you need to know the shareholding structure of the business. So, because it's part of what is forming what is inside your balance sheet. And you're thinking that, so, and if they insist on, so the way I work, then the first month I use so the report I have to prepare is, you are putting a disclaimer in your report. So as you are preparing the report, you are putting a disclaimer that this report is being prepared based on the information given. It's not really like the true picture of what the business activity is, because so there has to be a disclaimer in your report, because you need to let anybody that is seeing that financial knows that financial is possibly not complete. Like, there are some information missing. So, and by the time you put the disclaimer and let them know the consequences of that disclaimer, because you're a professional and you have to work professionally, and you don't want someone to be looking at your report and thinking at the end of the day, they said, who prepared this? So, but once you have a disclaimer, you already like cover yourself as a professional. And those type of organization, you don't stay long, so that they don't tarnish your professional image. I'm so sorry, but you don't stay long. So, for the first question is, majorly when you join, it depends on the type of tools that they are using before. So if you are trying to convince a management team on them changing, you have to be able to convince them on why they have to change. So you are coming up with a report that shows what the current tool is doing, and what you need the tool that you are recommending as, like, how would I put it? So if the current tool is just working efficiently on revenue or on cost or something, and you want something that can give you more detailed financials or more analysis and all that, so you need to be able to tell them that the current tool that we're using, this is what it's doing, this is what it's doing, but you need this to be done. And for you to be able to achieve this, you are recommending that they should use it. But when you are also coming up with the tool that you are recommending, you need to put in behind your mind the cost implication, because that's the other thing that always doesn't want the management. When they see that the cost is a lot, and the cost is a lot, they will be pushing back. So you will have done your research on, maybe like you have like 3 options. So when you are presenting like 3 options to them, and you have tell them that the benefits of this and how cost effective is going to be, how is going to what's it called? How will I put it? Make the work more efficient and effective, because at the end of the day, they need you. So you are trying to convince them, and you're trying to let them know that because they need the report to come out on time. For you to work efficiently, you need additional tools. And for me to have these are the benefits of the additional tools. Because we are trying to convince them, and you're not telling them the benefit, the added value those tools is going to bring on board, I don't think they'll be convinced. And you get to a stage whereby there are some that will not yield you at the first meeting, at your first conversation. So it's something that you have to be presenting, talking about like every management meeting until they yield to you. But anytime you're going, you have to go with a comprehensive details of the research that you've done, and like disadvantage and advantage of the new products, of the new tool you're recommending and all that. It takes a lot of time to convince, but you need to be able to convince them by holding on to, as like standing on your ground at the end of the day. That's it. Like, you need to prove to them that tool is going to add value. And the only way to convince them is having enough information and about the tool that you're recommending. I don't know whether that answers your question. Both questions, rather.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Glad I could help.
Okay, please, do we have any other question? Okay, I think no other question. All right, thank you so much, Ma, for joining us, for bringing out the time to join us today in this event. I personally learned a lot, and I believe others did as well.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much. We appreciate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for taking the time also.
All right, at this note, we've come to the end of the event. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
You too. Bye everyone. Enjoy your weekend.